Here we go. This is the very first Ranger's Apprentice book in the entire channel here, where I haven't already read it. This is exciting to me. This is so fun. I really like Ranger's Apprentice. That's why I started the channel. Well, that's what I started the channel with. I just like books in general. But this is my all-time favorite series from. So now we're looking into the brand new series, The Royal Ranger. I think it's actually called Ranger's Apprentice The Royal Ranger, which is quite a title. So this book takes place after the end of the previous series, but now we no longer have Will as our main character. We have Maddie. And this is from 2013, so it's still relatively old. So the cover, let's start there. We've gone away with the like open leaf thing up here, and gone with a more traditional person with a sword. I love the oak leaves on the sword. I don't think this is a sword actually. I think this is supposed to be the sax knife, I think, but I don't know. Yeah, I like it. I think it encapsulates very well what we're looking into, with Maddie being a new Ranger's Apprentice and all that stuff. I'm not quite sure if making her blonde was the right option, because as I recall, Evelyn is not blonde. I don't think Horace is either, if it has ever been confirmed, because the blonde comment typically goes towards Alice. But I still think it's a nice cover. I still think it's very pretty. It's still in the style of Ranger's Apprentice. It is also on the boring end, but all Ranger's Apprentice books have boring covers in my opinion. So I'm just glad that we still have the open leaves. Now, let's talk about the story. The story starts out like with a prologue following Maddie, and that's all fine and good. It's actually a pretty good little prologue thing, where we learn that who she is as a person, that she is very much her mom, Princess Evelyn. So she basically makes trouble all the time. She sneaks out, like everything her mom does, she do too. And of course they end up going, oh, we need to get her away, so we send her to Will. Now, all the while Alice is dead. She's been murdered, and Will is absolutely devastated, and is just trying his best to find the murderers. And it's a brutal scene when he finds one of the murderers, where he just goes, he fell on the knife. How sad. Oh well. It is wild. But I do like the juxtaposition, because we also have Maddie, who knew Will is sees her as her favorite person in the world and all that, so she's like, oh, I can just do what I want. Uncle Will is gonna just adore me. And when Will is like, get down, soldier, give you 20. Like, that's not exactly what it is, but that's the mentality he has. And she of course also thinks that, oh, I'm just gonna be spending a couple of weeks just pretending to care and all that. She's been sent away for a year, and they are renouncing her title as princess. And the reason why they do that is to ensure that she stays with Will. And I think that's really fun. What I really like about this setup here, because that means Maddie is set up kind of like a brat who has to be taught everything, and Will has to get back into being the cheerful himself, is we're starting out heavily looking into some great character development, and we're setting up the characters, and we're making sure that Will is not the old, it's not just an older version of the one we already knew. There's still some urgency, there's still some character development, character growth. In this case, the character development is him trying to find himself. Also, setting up Maddie as this spoiled brat who knows a lot of things, who knows all about riding, who knows all about the life at castle, is very much, and it's been highlighted a couple times in the book, is the opposite of Will. A lot of the mistakes he made because he didn't know better, because he grew up a ward, an orphan. Whereas a lot of the mistakes she makes is just because she's an arrogant, spoiled brat. And so they kind of do differently. But we also get to see Will channeling quite a lot of Holt. It almost feels a lot like in the book he goes, what would Holt do? What would Holt say? I actually think there are a couple of scenes where it's literally what Will does is going, oh, Holt would have done this, so that's what I'm gonna do. And it's great. It's really, really, really fun. I cannot understate how fun this book is. Even with the very dark and moody character we have Will in the beginning. Also, like, the entire plot thing with the kidnappers and stuff is, for Ranger's Apprentice, it really feels like the Burning Bridge level problem. Even lower, actually. Like, this feels very low stakes. And that's fine. We saved the world multiple times. The world is relatively safe. Let's have a relatively safe world, and where we just have to work with the problem things here. Because even small things can go wrong, and small things do go wrong. Will does struggle a little, mainly because he's never had an apprentice. He doesn't quite know what he's doing. Maddie is very much a scared girl, and she is trying to prove herself, and very quickly really working towards improving herself. And we get, all the children who are acting all spoiled and stuff, especially that one girl, is just calling back towards Maddie as this person. So yeah, I really think the way this story is framed, it works out great. It really helps setting up a kind of next gen storyline, because that's the problem with a lot of series and franchises is like, once your main character's done, what do you do? Holt is, old. His back is back. He can't do much anymore. So you can't really have him much. Crowley is dead. So of course Gillen has taken over the role because no one else wanted his job. And then, Will is like mid-20s, 30. So he's seen it all, basically. He's seen the world. He has been traveling. He has been learning all the stuff kinda there is. There's not a lot left for him to learn. In a way, there's probably still stuff. But, figuratively, what's left for character growth? Well, let's set up the next people. Let's set up who's gonna be the future. And a big part about this book is a female ranger. They never had that before in this world. Maddie is the very first. And that is exciting, because a lot of people are like, yeah, why do we only have female? And then Gillen highlights some interesting things like, oh, women are typically not as strong as men, typically not as large, so she might have some trouble with the hand-to-hand combat. She might have trouble with the 80-pound draw weight of the bows. But at the same time, as Holt has points out, and as everyone points out for Will in the beginning, and Will points out later for people, well, rangers are typically not very big. Women are typically way more nimble, so she's going to be better at all the spying and sneaking. And we can teach her, does she need an 80-pound drawbow? Probably not. If she can't handle it, just give her a 60, for instance. Just fix the things. How often do we need the 300-meter shooting range distance? Probably not that often. So are we gonna be fine? Most likely. Stuff like that, it's great to see, because it is it's not just a case of a woman can do anything a man can. It is, alright, we know there's gonna be a little bit differently, but how can we work with this? How can we use all of this? How can we ensure we don't fall in quality, but actually become better? So yeah, I end up, at the beginning I was not buying Maddie as a character very much. I ended up liking her a lot. It's a fine little introduction book. Actually, more than fine, it's really, really great. It is one of the better Ranger's Apprentice books out there. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say. I hope in the next couple of books in this franchise, we're just gonna follow Maddie learning all the stuff, and seeing her travel the world with Will. I'd like to see Will find someone to replace Alice sooner or later. Not in this book, but later on, because that would be a natural thing, is to fall in love with a new person. But yeah, I like this Will who are the teaching kind. So overall, I think you should read it. Can you read this book without having read all the other stuff? I actually think you could. I honestly think you could read this book without having read any of Ranger's Apprentice. I'm not quite sure. I don't think I would recommend it, but I think you could do it, and then you'll just be a little confused about some of the details, but I think a lot of all those details are explained. So, oh yeah, also one of my favorite scenes, now that I think about it, is the when Maddie asks Will, like, do you ever feel like you can talk with your horse and it understands you? And he just goes, no, that's impossible. While secretly thinking, oh shit, it wasn't just me, because that's not something you ever talk about. I think that's great. Anyways, I think it's a great book. I think it's a lot of fun. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more. I don't actually remember what the next book's gonna be, so you will just have to wait and see. Goodbye.